Hey Lucas, yeah, I was watching some of that. I just woken up. Johnny New Zealand. Yeah, yeah, I saw that. That was pretty funny. It's like, yep, yep. There are people who are really good at this game, which is kind of what you want. But we'll see. I think some of the latency, the lag stuff, has a lot to do with it. But on the other hand, like in a lot of the games that I play, I'll check the stats and I'll have like as many touches on the ball as everyone else combined in the match, and I'm just like, something's. I actually had like a talk with Adam. I was like, so is it because I'm better than you or not? Like, I'm not trying to be an asshole about this, but like, is this a latency thing? Because like we tried it on different servers and like the results were the same, and he's like, no, no, it's just I don't know what the hell it is. Like, there must be some thing in the controls that I just don't get that you do or something like that. So I think it has a lot to do with kind of if you're able to, I think it's like Rocket League where people who are good will say like don't use ball cam, like stop using ball cam, you need to stop using it. And then like your brain in the back here, he's probably playing on servers with their that master. Yeah, well there's not enough people for that. It's like in the back of your brain you're like you know where the ball is and the rest of the court while you're driving around, and then you'll turn around and the ball's right there and you smack it right in the goal. Like you need to train that spatial awareness stuff into yourself. Otherwise, you might be stuck with the crutch of just looking at the ball the whole time and not figuring out where you're driving. So it might be something like that where there's just a different strategy that people are using that puts you on a different level consistently with getting good hits. Also, there's some definite metas to some of these levels. Like the grasslands level, the meta basically is the shots from half court are the most accurate because nobody can fuck with them as they're coming in. And it's basically like you get it going at the right speed, at the right height, and like you just slot it in every single time. The like getting the pop up right in front of the goal on the ground is like your secondary shot, which if you can get in there and get that hit before anybody else is on you, you always get it. But other than that, you're pretty much fucked. You might as well just like run back to half court and wait for the ball. And I'm not sure about the meta in the Foggy Night level. Like Nightly Bog, I don't really get yet. It's something about you need to use the kick at about a quarter of the way from the goal, and it needs to get in the air. But if it goes too high, you're screwed, and if it's going too fast, you're screwed too. And I think on that one I could do real well unless there's people with high pings, in which case they end up just like knocking the ball out of the way no matter how good you set up a shot. So it's like, well, I don't really know if that's because of the ping or because the meta that I'm using is just too slow on the draw. Yeah, and it's the kick is to get it up over the lip, but like if you pop it up too high, if you kick it too high, it'll hit the tree above it, which is like, well, yeah, I know, but I'm trying to do that like, space arc shot in there. Like I want to do that, so I don't know. Maybe I can talk to Adam to remove the blocker from the space shot because I think that should be a legit strategy. That's just texture streaming, Lucas. So like we could disable texture streaming for some things, and that would fix some of it, but it's not like a bug. It's you can understand what it is. It's your texture streaming for your graphics card, loading in everything all at once. So if it's like a really annoying problem and you're like, this sucks and I hate it and I want you to fix it, then yeah, we can take a look at it. But I'm probably going to be working on other things other than fixing that. Oh, Jesus Christ. You know, these forums, I don't understand how the bots are. I guess the bots, to make an account, like, I'm going to have to go to the mod control panel, yeah, the admin control panel, and ban a bunch of people. Like, we might need to throw some more spam filters on stuff, because what these bots appear to do is they'll make a small number of accounts, which means that it's people that have made the accounts, and then they'll spam themselves, which are obviously just using bots to spam stupid bullshit. It's just frustrating. They don't have good things. I'm really not going to be doing much with admin on the forums. Alright, so if we ban this user, okay, here we go. Whoops, I need to edit these bans forever. Alright. Yeah, it looks like there's just a lot of shit with bots. Which is just really unfortunate that that's a thing that exists. That there's so much work that's gone into creating bots to troll forums that. And these things aren't even, like, the tools aren't even working very well for banning people. It's like I have to go click a whole bunch of shit to ban people. Instead of just having like a nuke button for stuff. So it takes a while to... Because what happens is once somebody is past a certain number of posts and crap like that, it doesn't let you like auto ban the person with one click. Yeah, like if it's somebody who hasn't spammed much, then it's easy to ban them, but otherwise it's a pain in the ass to ban them. Yeah, I'll probably do a pass on the forums at some point, but let's be honest here. I don't know shit about forums, and I have no interest in learning how to be like a good forums admin. So I'm gonna have to think about that. Because what I might want to do is I might want to, like, this is something that is not really something that I want to be an admin of. Like, I would much rather have the community moderate the forums and have like a good list of admins that can do all those things. So the solution might just be to open up the forum admin stuff and just have like, you know, basically like people like you, Lucas, and Karakan as mods, and I can go do all the shit. And it may be that we want somebody who is like a web dude or something that we pay to actually like update all of our game websites and shit like that, because we could really use like a community manager person that's professional at some point to, you know, like install the latest plugins and do all that sort of crap. Mod might, yeah. Which is actually one of those things. I might just want to go ahead and do that. I don't know how any of the fucking stuff works for modding people. Let's see, what's the admin control panel? Users and groups, find user. Moderator options. Because probably what we need to do is have new users have to, like, users can't do anything. You have to be a member or some shit like that, right? Alright, so let me see. Number of users. So we want, like, this is really not the easiest thing to fuck around with. Like, alright, so. Alright, Lucas, go have a good one. So find users, member of like moderators. Alright, so it's not too hard to add people to user groups, it's just kind of a pain in the ass. So find users. Alright, so just looking at all this stuff. So let me see. So what I want to do is go to like user types or something, and yeah, we'll just alright, so what is it even about? Groups. We want registered users. We want like members. Like registered, all users are placed in a registered group. I guess people have to be like a member. In order to actually like post things or some shit. It's like registered. After registering, all in this group. Show users of this group on the member list. Show that they're a formed team. This is a banned group. Users will be able to be banned into this user group. I don't fucking know how this works. Can be reported. Can access user control panel. Can change username. Can post new threads. Can post replies on threads. Okay. Alright, well I guess I'll write it down, but at least the forums right now are cleaned back up. So we don't have a whole bunch of bullshit on them. What was I doing? I got sucked into complaining about things. All right. So what the hell am I doing now? All right, so I got the objects in there. So did I mark that off as being done? No. Okay, so we got the objects. They're in there. We're not exploding. So that's good. So the next thing what we want is an autogen system for UI events. So what do we want this system to look like? So this might be a 2 actually, not a 1. So what we want is the ability to have an object, and when that object gets changed, we want to tell the UI about it and send it over to it. So we've got this UI notification system. All right, so we got these. We've got like the game. We've got the UI, and kind of the objects. We want to be able to change the objects in the UI and have them reflected in the game, and vice versa. So let's see. So we have an object that kind of exists here, and we have an object that exists here, and then we have like a screen or something that interacts with it. So when we modify this object, we're going to want to push it over to C++ and change anything that it has to do with, and then notify any listeners. So we need like, we're going to have an object, and then it's got to know like that it needs a listener list. So we could do like a on change event, and this could have list of like listeners. And it would have like if it's dirty, and if the object is dirty, it'll get sent over to the UI. Because I'm trying to think about this. So like if in the game you're changing something, how does it work? Like when you edit an object, when you're in the game, you're in a blueprint and you're editing the object, like the user settings, like a user's, yeah, like something about the level changes, like the clock, the countdown timer changes, so we update the object, which then will replicate it to the UI because it's now dirty or something. So we need like a set like has changed, or we need some sort of like set dirty flag on an object which will tell it. So we could use like a set dirty, and basically what this does is the UI every frame will call like get dirty objects. And we've got like a dirty object set of stuff which will fetch, and so we need like unique object IDs. And let's be clear, this is a uStruct, which has an object ID. We set up it's dirty. We have an unchanged event for listeners. This will be like event listener. So it looks like we've got, you know, like an object manager thing on both sides here that we need. So every frame we call get dirty objects. We pass it the, and we tick the object manager, which grabs dirty objects. And then it'll go to its structs. To all of its listeners. So the question is, how do we tell the, like this could work for telling the game UI when an object changes, but what about telling the game that we have a new object that we modified in JavaScript land? Like how do we do the converse? Like we can't pass a uStruct back, can we? Like can we get one, fill it out, and then have it reflect back? I don't think so. Like we'd have to call C++ with the function, you know, with the actual stuff for the object. So pushing stuff back into C++ land is actually kind of a pain in the ass. So how do we do that? I mean, we could send individual variables like, hey, this thing changed. We could do the whole object. The whole object is going to be a pain in the ass, though. because it's always going to be like the whole object that has to be called. Though we could do it, we could pass the whole object back over JavaScript. It's not going to work for complex objects, though. It'll only work for simple objects. We could pass back JavaScript and reflect it back into code pretty much. That's going to be slow. We could have a generic system for passing back stuff. Like we pass back an array of string pairs or some crap and then serialize it. You know, like it sounds like we have to do some marshalling to get data from JavaScript land to C++ land properly. You're going to have to do it somehow. Or we could create simple events of some types, like yeah, that might be better. It's like I like the idea of having dirty objects that the UI is like, oh, this has changed. So, you know, kind of having a reactive UI that updates itself when everything changes, and that's pretty simple, a well understood concept. But getting the UI to change stuff back is kind of different. It's like we have a blueprint object that sets the dirty flag, and then this thing will get pulled over here. Well, the question is, can we just cast something to an object? We should run a test here real quick to see if we can actually do this. Let's actually use one of our new objects. So let's make a function in GameUtils, which is like a test struct call. So let's do like static void set example object, and we want like a const. Let's actually include this. Include Dashkin shared objects.h. Let's pick a simple shared object. Actually, let's pick a complex uObject. So test complex. A complex object with enums might be good. Let's close a whole bunch of shit. Because we actually have an array of enums which might not be able to be serialized properly back to what they should be. Alright, so let's just test the simple object to start with, and then we'll test the complex object and see what we can do. Because if we have to do like some translation stuff, that's okay. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to print some stuff out here on this simple object. So let's just print out the array of strings or something like that. So for const fstring address start in object.string array, let's just do info log string and then star and then for con, yeah, just int32 value in object.int array. Alright, and for float value in object.float array. Log float %f value for bool value in object.bool array. So log bool is true. So if value else bool is false. Alright, otherwise info log string is alright, so if object.bool bool is true, otherwise bool is false. Alright, and let's compile that, and let's add a button in our UI so that we can actually call this. Okay, so we're going to want a test example object. And you think I would already know this, but you'd be wrong. Alright, so we're going to make a new example object. So objects.js, this is ftest example object. So let's see what we can do with this. in the game, set example object, fatal error unexpected in macro expansion. Yeah, forgot a thing there. So let's see if we can just pass a whole ustruct over there and their serializer will work. So in this object we want to set we used the simple object, didn't we? Because we're doing that to start with. So object dot let's see, dot int equals 55, object dot float equals 3.0, object dot bool equals true, object dot string equals this is a string. So we'll test this without arrays first and see if that does anything. Alright, looks like the JavaScript is valid. Let's boot up the editor and see what it does. Let me click the button. Alright. Why is this all pissed off? Alright, ensure, like, what is this? Loaded asset by the player proxy is entity, ensure simple construction script.cpp. What? Alright, so something might be fucked up here. With the game, that's not good. Because that would probably be like a missing file or something else. Like, let's see if the build is broken. No, the build's not broken. When was the last success? Was 10 hours ago. So if Adam did work today, it hasn't verified it yet. Let's just go ahead and kick off a build anyway right now. See if that blows the hell up like I am. Alright, loaded asset bitey player proxy as entity. And then failed parent node check. Okay. Compile fx player dash fail. Okay. Okay, so the player dash is failing. One fatal issue, so that's in effects. Brackensack player. It's just player dash that's having problems, I think. Alright. Yeah, so this is failing to compile because p-soil. Read the value of the variable p-soil. Yeah, there's no p-soil here. So how the hell is this? Couldn't find a variable named. Alright, well, let's close the editor and see if there's any files or something else that I do not have properly. Alright, let's go to our content directory, effects, Brackensack. Let's just do a reconcile offline work on that folder. So we don't have any changes to this thing, so it looks like there's a corrupted file or something screwed up with the dash that Adam checked in probably. So let's see, what's the history? Adam said forest updates. Slide, ground tumble, FX, player v ball. Alright, so he added a whole bunch of shit to everything, including the player dash. So yeah, that's going to be, some got screwed up there. So it's another one that he added that actually worked. So like, I should take a look at the player slide other, probably, something like that. So like player slide, we've got, I don't see a soil on here. I just see default and leaves and everything. Dirt, water, soil 1. So p-soil. There is no p-soil here. Could not find variable name p-soil. Make sure player dash has been compiled. Forget dash soil. Make sure. So there is a dash soil particle system. Let's check out dash other. Dash other does have a dash soil in it, but it doesn't have anything hooked up. Dash other has no soil, only this one has soil hooked up. Alright, well then I will just take this out here. Because if dash other is not hooked up properly, then none of this is hooked up properly. So we'll just remove it for now. And let's go ahead and close the editor and reopen it and make sure that there's not another horrible condition happening. So probably what happened was he just deleted a variable and then didn't hit the compile button or something like that, or didn't hit the save button or something. Yeah, okay, so that's just a simple fix. Alright, so let's just move on. Actually, I'll send him an email that he can read at his leisure. And okay, so that's sent. At least he'll get that. So test example object. String is, this is a string, int is 55, float is 3, boolean is true. Oh man, if this marshalling shit actually works, then I am going to be real happy here. So let's go ahead and edit our JavaScript, because that means like there are some things that I did not know that worked with the WebKit stuff, which is awesome. Alright, so I think that's the syntax for everything. The question, of course, is going to be if those enums work and if the recursive objects work. This is string 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is int 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is float 0.5. True, false, true, false, true, false. Alright, that worked. What the hell? Okay, well, let's see what happens when we start using those enums. And so this will be set example complex object. So we need the complex object. So let's see, we've got our enums here. So what's the what was the syntax that we actually had for printing out the enums? It was get int for enum, get string for enum. So it's ubs team statics. Get string for enum. Okay, so we got that rolling. So let's compile it up, make sure that compile works, and then let's go over to our index.cpp. Let's add test example complex object. Otherwise, we're going to okay, so we have our test complex object. So complex.enum is going to be set it to the blue team. Let's do for_var I equals 0, I is less than 5. Let's just say if j, 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 j. Let's see, it'll be complex.enum array.push. We'll push blue and then we'll push red. This will be if I mod 2, and then we'll say this example complex object, and this will be complex, and let's see. If I is equal to 0, then complex.object equals object. Otherwise, complex.object array.push object. Okay, so this will test out our complex object marshalling. So the question is if those enums work at all. And if there's something we can do about that. Like have some sort of shim enum thing that converts to integers or some shit. Okay, so example object still works. Complex object. Okay, so if we start from the top, get enum undefined. Okay, so the enum did not work.